Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It is Tuesday, July 28th, 2015, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here is a look at what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, big banks reportedly have a new scheme. Then, Obama tells Snowden to come home and face the music. And Planned Parenthood goes into damage control to combat the most damning expose yet.
And they don't even let you know in the interview what you're doing. SunExpress is a company that hires procurement techs to draw blood and dissect dead fetuses and sell the parts to researchers. They partner with Planned Parenthood and they get part of the money.
I don't know what's going on, folks, but I can't handle it anymore. These people literally crawl out from under rocks. They run and hide in trash cans right in front of you. Why are we ruled by a bunch of trash can dwelling vampires?
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfowarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfowarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfowarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfowarsStore.com, free shipping for the month of July.
Well, a third undercover Planned Parenthood video has been released today, and this time a whistleblower within the video reveals that it is basically just a huge fetal organ trafficking business. Now, this video was once again released by the Center for Medical Progress, and as expected, it shows footage of fetal body parts after abortion. So, warning, you're going to see some very disturbing video of aborted fetuses in the coming up video. Now, this features whistleblower Holly O'Donnell, and she claims that a biomedical company that she was working for was in the business of paying Planned Parenthood clinics for these fetal organs. They basically partnered up with the clinics, and according to the condition of the tissue after it was extracted from the abortion, they would be paid based on the condition of the specimen. O'Donnell says that the more valuable the tissue, the more money you would get. So if you can somehow procure a brain or a heart, you're going to get more money than just umbilical cord. So these claims, if they're true, are going to completely blow out the water Planned Parenthood's repeated denial that they do not profit from the sale of this fetal tissue. O'Donnell goes on to say that we were asked to procure certain tissues like brain, liver, sinus, pancreas, heart, lungs, and pretty much anything on the fetus. It's basically a huge trafficking of fetal tissues. So go ahead and take a look at this video where O'Donnell talks about her first day on the job.
So I remember my first day, I was at the Concord Clinic, and it was very early in the morning. I was with one of my trainers, and I walk in, I meet the staff, and I look over in the corner, and there's it's a little light tray with pie dishes on it. I'm like, okay. And then I see someone come in with a bottle of something, and there was blood in it. I'm like, okay. And then they went over to the sink and they emptied it out in a strainer and put it on the pie dish and lit it up, and I'm like looking like what's going on. And my trainer comes over and she puts on gloves and she grabs some tweezers and she's picking the parts away from the vaginal tissue. And I've never had anxiety before this at all. So I'm looking and I don't know what's going on. I had no idea this was what was going to be happening, especially my first day. And she has tweezers and she's like, okay, well, this is a head, this is the arm, this is a leg. And she hands them over. Like, oh, here you go. Can you show me some of the parts I just showed you? And I grabbed the tweezers. I'm like, because I didn't want to lose this job. I didn't know. I was already stoked to get it. So I did what she said. And the moment I took the tweezers, I put them in the dish. And I remember grabbing a leg and I said, this is a leg. And the moment I picked it up, I could just feel like death and pain. Like I've never felt that before, like shoot up through my body. And I blacked out basically.
So it's amazing how in just an 11-week-old fetus they can identify the brain, the heart, the liver, lungs, even the sinus, and yet people still want to just call this a mass of cells. Now, Planned Parenthood, they preemptively notified Congress that more of these videos would be rolling out. They said that they would probably have some videos showing footage of the clinics harvesting these fetal organs, and so they kind of bypassed the whole question of the legality of selling these organs and instead accused the Center for Medical Progress of breaking the law. They went so far as to call them the extremists and murderers. So total irony there, but basically they really want Congress to get on this because they want to hang on to that more than $700,000 that each facility receives every single year from taxpayers. So Breitbart reports it's about $714,285 tax dollars per clinic per year. So not only are they getting money for performing these abortions, but they're also getting money for selling baby parts, and they're getting more than $500,000 per clinic from taxpayers. So now Rand Paul and other Republicans are speaking out about this, and they're pushing for investigations into Planned Parenthood's procedures, and they're really pushing to defund this nonprofit organization. Paul says that the GOP can defund Planned Parenthood before the recess. Paul says the problem here really is not just whether it's illegal to buy and sell the organs, but whether the taxpayer dollars should be going to a group that is sort of manipulating and turning the baby around to get access to organs. I think most people were horrified by these videos, like as you've seen on previous videos that were released, the directors talk about altering the procedure that these women are going to be going through in order to make the tissue more viable to sell. Paul goes on to say, I think that there should not be any financial incentives to get an abortion. Now they would argue that it just covers the cost, but anytime money changes hands, even if it's to a nonprofit group, that is a real question. We probably shouldn't be doing research on these babies because you would hate to think that there is any kind of incentive for that to occur. Incentive for getting abortions, but that's exactly what's happening. Now, former Planned Parenthood worker and current pro-life advocate Abby Johnson was on the Alex Jones Show today. She spoke with David Knight to discuss her experience at Planned Parenthood and just what caused her to leave that organization.
So there were a couple of things that happened. One was that they imposed an abortion clinic quota on all of the facilities that performed abortion. So they told us you have to perform, this many abortions every day, every month, in order to meet your goals, to receive your bonuses, to keep your staff.
That's very troubling, because if you had somebody that was just a doctor, let's say that this was a doctor that did heart surgery, and they came into that doctor and they said, you need to do X number of open heart surgeries,
right,
or else. I mean, you would expect that perhaps they're going to be doing open heart surgeries that are not necessary because it's profit driven.
Right. And abortion, and I can, only really speak to my experience at Planned Parenthood, but it was very profit driven. So we were told at Planned Parenthood that we were to turn every client visit and every telephone call into a revenue generating visit. The only way that you can make money off of a pregnant woman at Planned Parenthood is to sell her an abortion, because they don't provide prenatal care, they don't provide any obstetrical care, and they don't help women with adoption services. So the only way you can make money off of a pregnant woman is to sell an abortion. And so it's not surprising that 92% of pregnant women who enter Planned Parenthood will have an abortion, because they are being sold a product. So that was the first thing. And that was concerning for me, because I really believe that at Planned Parenthood, we were there to help women, that we were there to reduce the number of abortions. That's what Planned Parenthood said, and I had believed it for 8 years. So this was concerning for me.
It was all about planning. It was all about family planning and making sure that every child is a wanted child.
That's right. That's what I thought. That's what I believed. And then, but ultimately, I left after witnessing a live ultrasound-guided abortion procedure take place on a 13-week-old baby. And I saw that baby fighting and struggling for his life in the womb, trying to get away from the abortion instruments. And I knew that I had been lied to by Planned Parenthood. And because of that, because I had believed that lie, I had lied to thousands of women who had come through my facility. And so I knew that I had to leave and I had to start speaking out. And that's what I've done.
I told my wife many years ago when we were talking about this, personally, we were in college when Roe v. Wade came out. And so when I looked at it, I was like you. I believed a lot of the rhetoric. I was somebody who always came to things from a libertarian perspective. So I thought, I want government out of the bedroom, out of the boardroom. I don't want them telling me how to run my life. And I still feel that way. I mean, a lot of people think because of my position on gay marriage that I don't feel that way. No, I don't care what people do. I don't want to have any coercion, and that's what I'm concerned about with that. But with this, I thought, well, there's some question in my mind, and there's question in other people's minds as to when life begins. And so I was open to that until I ran for Congress, and I got involved in some debate forums and candidate questions, and people asked me about partial birth abortion, which was happening at the time. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And when I went back and looked at the procedure, I said, this is nothing but murder. I've been lied to, just as you were. And I told my wife at the time, it's interesting you mentioned that it was ultrasound, because I told my wife at the time, I said, the way we're going to stop this, because there's so much deception and lying going on with this, I said, the best thing that anybody could do, I know counseling is important, but I think the organizations need to start trying to fund a way that we can get better imaging of the baby in the womb. And now we have that. It wasn't funded by the pro-life people, but we do have that. We have 4D ultrasound, and people can see movies of their children in the womb. We see National Geographic had a special where they showed dolphins and dogs and elephants in the womb, and I mean, you could see the detail down to the hair on these animals and everything. And we can see that detail now with 4G ultrasound. But the things that we're seeing now, the testimony of people like you who have worked there, the things that we're seeing now with these videos that are coming out now on a weekly basis, where they're talking about the things that you have said for a long time, whistleblowers have said, but to see the people who are the doctors, who are the head of the clinics, talking about how they're doing this for profit, negotiating the money there. It's just amazing.
Well, and I've said before that organ harvesting is a big business. Tissue harvesting is a big business. It's not just talking about fetal tissue here either. I mean, we're talking about companies like UNOS who have millions of dollars of assets. People are profiting, organizations are profiting off of the sale and harvesting of adult organ donors as well. So, we're not just talking about babies, even though in these videos we are, but I mean, this is a symptom of a larger problem, and that is the exploitation of life. Period.
And the modification of life, because we talked in this program earlier about the many articles that have come out, and of course, They're talking about the good things that can be done with it. They're not talking about the evil things that can be done with it.
Right.
They're not talking about what the Department of Defense is planning on doing with this. They're not talking about the possibility that they could make mistakes, technological mistakes that could go horribly wrong with people. They're not talking about people getting a hold of some of this genetic information and using it to target a particular population, which is what we know that Planned Parenthood, anybody who knows their history knows that that's what they were doing. It had a very, very much a eugenicist target behind it. So when we look at this and we look at the fact that they're harvesting this on the front end in this unethical way, it raises concern for me about how this genetic research is going to be used on the back end as well, because it's this fetal tissue, human adult tissue that they're grabbing, and the same people who would resort to getting baby body parts for their research are the people who are going to be producing these new genetic miracle drugs, we're told.
Right. And one of the things that is terrifying to me is that the abortion industry, it's not just the abortion industry. It is the abortion industry, but it's also, you know, I read somewhere that Texas Tech received a $3 million federal grant to do embryonic stem cell research, you know, harvesting fetal tissue and organs. You know, NIH, I mean, all of these different groups are collecting this tissue and doing we don't know what with it. But the scary thing is that, and really the manipulative, and I think one of the worst parts is that, you know, when we would talk to these women who were having an abortion, we would, you know, basically manipulate them into believing that by donating this tissue, they could be saving the lives of others.
Yes.
But in reality, we had no idea what that tissue was going to be used for. That was never disclosed to us at the clinic. It was just for a price. So we're going to pay you $200 per specimen, per baby, and you're going to get as many as you can. And then we're going to basically lie to our clients and say, oh no, we're you know, this could save the lives of other people, when really we have no idea what it's being used for.
Let's talk about that aspect of it too, because we talked about how, you know, you don't want to put a quota on there for a cardiologist or for ontologist or whatever. And we've seen a recent example of a doctor who diagnosed people that didn't have cancer, diagnosed them with cancer so he could make money off of them. This is something from an organization called Bitch Magazine. That's their name, Bitch Magazine. And they say women should have the option to donate, but not to sell. Why would you not want women to sell it? Okay, well, the obvious question is you don't want to create an incentive of killing for profit, but that's precisely what they were doing.
Well, that's what abortion is, period.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, Abby will be joining me in studio later this week for an in-depth interview, and we are going to do our part to keep this story in the headlines. Now, coming up, part 2 of my interview with Jim Mars. He will be discussing a potential Project Bluebeam. And first, we're going to be talking about Google. What could they possibly want with your DNA and your genealogical information? And why is Ancestry.com selling it to them?
And all you ISIS people threatening us, hey, we're not a French newspaper, okay? We got people that have taken your asses out in this building right now. We're armed to the teeth, and we're not scared. You got that, you sons of bitches? This is Texas. You want to threaten me, you can go straight to hell. You understand that?
Never water yourself down just because someone can't handle you at 100 proof.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for.
And that's the principle of Infowars Life, as far as I understand, that you've always had, is that it's not about synthetic chemicals and forcing actions. It's about letting your body do its own thing and giving your body the tools it needs to create these different compounds that are super valuable and super beneficial.
You will find Brain Force and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.